Caitlin. This is Citizen Zero. Accountability. When I think about it, I think I'm a boss. I mean, we're all literally bosses, actually. We're the employers of our elected officials. And the way we hire is by voting. So that means that accountability really comes down to keeping track of whether or not they're moving you closer or farther away from your worldview, and showing up on election day to reward or punish them for what they have or haven't achieved. When voting looks right, when things are going well, when accountability is at its max, you're going to see a world in which politicians are constantly explaining themselves. That sounds pretty rough, but in fact, politicians should be explaining why they do what they do, how it's going to move us forward, and what exactly is going to be the benefit of this. We should always be asking these questions because, in honesty, we've entrusted them to take care of our world. They've got tremendous responsibility on their shoulders. They've got the power of all of our individual worldviews, pushing them to make decisions. You should see them explaining how this is going to benefit their constituents, how this is going to make things better for people. And you should be keeping track of what it means and what they're doing and whether or not they're succeeding, because again, account. Account is in accountability, which means that you need to have a record of what they're doing and how you feel about it. Now, admittedly, we're all together in this, so it's not going to be that each one of us has the power to be a boss and walk in and tell an elected official, go home, you're drunk. But the point is that they're listening all the time for people to say, I don't want you in office anymore. I don't believe you will fight for me. They start to react. They're terrified. If someone's going to remove them from office, and there are two ways of doing that. If they belong to a political party, they can be replaced on the line of that political party with someone else. Or they could be beaten in the general election by a candidate from any of the parties. So if you say, I'm no longer going to vote for this Republican, I'm going to vote for a Democrat, that tells them, oh my gosh, I need to get closer to this person's worldview because I'm losing so many people from my side who had supported me, and they're talking about voting for someone else. In the end, that's what accountability means. And being able to leverage and show them that you've kept a record and that you're disappointed in the work that they're doing is basically what it feels like to be a boss. It goes awry, however, like it is now, you're going to see politicians take advantage of the lack of engagement and accountability. What happens if you just step back as a boss and you let your employee do whatever they want? Well, you'll likely find that you end up with a whole bunch of people who are stealing money from you. You'll find out that your business isn't working the way it's supposed to. You'll see that you are losing out on tremendous opportunities, or even worse, you'll see that they've basically run your business into the ground. You can't be an absentee boss. You can't just set people up and walk away, because they're going to see this as an opportunity to do what they want to do, not what they need to do. Their job is to respond to you. Without your sounding board, without your voice, they're going to respond to two things: their own interests or the loudest, most insane partisans who are guaranteed to vote. It's why our extremes have gotten more extreme. People find themselves apathetic. They're tired. They feel like everything's corrupt. They stop voting. They stop engaging. And the people who are left are the most intense and driven. They're not willing to compromise on anything. They don't want to hear about other viewpoints. They don't care about other people. They just want what they want out of society. And if you get in their way, they'll just get somebody who will punish you. That's not how any of this should feel like or work. But it keeps getting worse because we aren't holding anyone accountable. Not ourselves and not our politicians. We fix that by voting. Engage again. I know it seems hard and it's so scary, but voting is the only means of accountability our system recognizes. If you can say to a politician, no, you don't have my vote, I'm voting for your opponent. Or you can say, no, you don't have my vote, I'm going to find someone who I trust more than you. I'm going to build them up and I'm going to have them run against you. And I'm going to put time and energy into getting you out of office because you're terrible. The same way you do if you're an employer. If you've got important work that has to be done, but you need continuity, you can't let the work go undone for an extended period of time. What you do is you start an employee search as soon as you can, and you start quietly finding someone who can do the job better. That's what we have to do as citizens. A vote is the only means we have of removing inappropriate leaders from office. People who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. People who don't seem to take our well-being into account. That's a real failure of them, but it's a failure of us if we don't step up and get people who we don't like out of office. So the right to vote is one of the most important ones. And we are going to get closer and closer to a better world the more and more of us who do it. Because chances are, again, as I said last time, our worldviews probably overlap hugely. And as we make progress, we're going to find that more problems get solved when more people are talking about what needs to be solved. That means anybody who talks about limiting or confusion about who gets to vote needs to be given a very hard look. What they're saying is, I don't want to be accountable to people who don't agree with me. I don't want to be responsible for integrating the thoughts or feelings or benefits to anyone outside of the group that I think should give me power. It's a way of saying, you don't have a right to your America. And that's not true. You do, as long as you meet one of three requirements. You are 18 years of age. You are an American citizen. You have a legal address. If you meet those three things, congratulations, you have a right to vote. No, there's no other requirement necessary. You don't even need to be able to read. True. Ultimately, we need to be responsible, and responsibility means accountability. So what are you going to do with your democracy?